Hello, and welcome to another episode of Barrelman TV. My name is Steve Fleck. I am the lead announcer for the MultiSport Canada Triathlon Series and the Barrelman Triathlon. My guest today is the co-founder and head coach at LP Endurance, Coach Mark Cullen. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Steve. Great to catch up with you.
Great to have you here with us today, Mark. What is sort of the Reader's Digest history, if you will, of LP Endurance and your relationship with the Barrelman?
Yeah, I think starting with the Barrelman, I've raced that race, I think 4 or 5 times myself. Always had awesome experience there. Lots of PBs to boot from that course. And then MultiSport Canada as a whole is just where I got started in my multisport journey. So that'll always be great memories for me. And LP Endurance, yeah, I've been full-time coaching now for better part of 4 years, been coaching for about 10 total, and started LP Endurance in 2021. Actually, when a lot of clubs shut things down for COVID, I wanted to give people a spot to still be able to get high quality training, education across various endurance topics, and also have a community of individuals from wherever they lived and whatever level they were at. So we have everything from beginners up to professional athletes. And yeah, our club is probably about 60% remote. So just, yeah, really a chance for people who are passionate about multisport to come together and have a spot of fellow crazy individuals to learn and share their experiences with.
Great to hear those COVID success stories. It was. I'll be honest with you, it was a challenging time for a lot of people in the endurance sports business, the race and events business in particular. I mean, I lost a year and a half of work, but there was some good things that came out of COVID. And one of them was, this sort of medium that we're in right now, this sort of remote, world of recording. And I'm sure in terms of your relationship with athletes as well, the benefit of being remote and being able to reach out to them and connect with them. Mark, it's a big step up, particularly for a new triathlete to that half iron distance, if you will, if they've only done a sprint or even an Olympic distance. I mean, it is a big ask to step up to the full sort of half iron distance, the 2K swim, 90K on the bike, 21K on the run. What are some of the things that, from your experience, that the Barrelman helps with the first timer maybe stepping up to that distance?
Yeah, I think 2 things really come to mind. First off, doing your first half Ironman can be definitely a daunting experience. And I think having people who you can ask questions to and give you answers quickly and feel like you're not just treated like a number goes a long way. So I just think of Barrelman like the awesome Facebook group of the ambassadors and John Salt in there giving quick answers to people, giving them the correct information and helping them calm those nerves before there. And just, yeah, the community aspect that you feel before the race that I haven't really felt at some of those longer distance races, I think goes a long way to helping people feel more comfortable. And then just in terms of the venue, I think for a first timer, it's such an amazing course. Like we all know the swim can be a daunting one for people and they're really nervous about it. And I can't imagine, I've done them like hundreds of triathlons at this point, and I don't think there's a better swim venue than in the Welland Flatwater Center. Like it's just calm spot, almost always perfect conditions, no currents, like the wire under the water. So it's just, again, allowing people to get that first leg out of the way. And now they're on land and they're happy and they can move forward. And then obviously with the bike being one of the flattest ones I've ever done there, another chance for people to maybe spend a little bit less time out there. And then when you get on the run, such a fantastic run, just to be able to see the falls beside you and you're biking along the parkway and so many great things there. So I think between the people and the awesome course, like it's just such a great spot for somebody to have a great experience at a first half iron distance.
And what about for the veterans? I mean, you've been around the sport for a while, even for veterans that may have done some of those other, races. What would a race like the Barrelman offer for veterans, the sort of the hardened, sort of savvy veteran out there?
Yeah, I think there's a number of, I keep coming back to it for a reason, and I'm in the more competitive side of things. I raced in the elite field my last 2 times doing Barrelman. So always great competitive fields, which is awesome. So you always have people challenging you in your age group. I do think, again, going back to the course, like it's so fun to have a course where you can, maybe you've been doing a bunch of races all around, and you can come back. And I think all of my best bike splits are from Barrelman. So as a veteran, it's nice to come back and be like, oh, sweet. And like doing this 40K an hour or something like that on the bike. So to have a chance to hit some PBs as a veteran is cool. I like that in Barrelman, usually there's not a lot of congestion on the course too. I think they do a good job with the wave starts of spreading things out so that there's not a whole lot of drafting in there. In the experiences I've had, like I would say last year I rode almost solo the entire way. So the lack of congestion is a nice one too. And then just, yeah, really cool finishing experience. I think if people haven't got a chance to do it, running over by Niagara Falls and just the whole experience of the weekend I always stay in the falls, and we have lots of people who come and we'll have a dinner the night before and hang out there after. I think it's just a really great experience venue for a veteran who's maybe bounced around to a bunch of places. I think they can have a really unique and fun experience there as well.
You've no doubt heard about the changes to the bike course. Probably the biggest change to the whole of the event in its history. They've shifted to having probably the final 2/3 of the bike course now on 2 loops that are essentially on the parkway. So it's like a double out and back loop on the parkway. I'm thinking that's positive. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's always even though it's late in the bike and usually it's getting warm out there and I'm getting tired, that's still always my favorite part of the bike course. So the fact that you get more time on there, I think it's a positive as well. Some people can get tied up with loop courses, but I think when you have great scenic, like winding roads with good pavement there, nice and flat, like I think people are gonna love it. And then with the addition of the Olympic distance too, that's so cool to get more people exposed to Barrelman who aren't ready for that half distance. I think that's they're both awesome changes. I was excited to see them when I saw them come out, so hopefully I'll be there again this year.
just on that, I mean, that's the other big change is the addition of the Olympic distance. And for those athletes thinking maybe a bit longer term, maybe not this year. We talked about those stepping up to do a half iron distance this year. But for those with a longer term plan, maybe on a 2 or 3 year horizon, what would be the benefits of doing the Olympic this year as a bit of a teaser?
Yeah, I think again, you just get exposure to that course and you can still have that full experience that you get of the half iron without having to go the like full commitment when it's maybe a little bit daunting. So again, like I think it's so important for newer triathletes and all triathletes to just enjoy some of that sprint and Olympic. I think people sometimes get a little caught up of always being like, I got to go with the huge long one for the first time every time, where it's like you can have just as good, if not a better experience sometimes doing something like an Olympic distance. So like to people, don't be afraid to start there and use that as a stepping stone, have a great experience there, and then come back and do the bigger one the year or two after. Like that's just my words of wisdom. I think people don't always have to go big right away.
Well said. As we record this, Mark, it's mid-February, so we're in the depths of an Ontario winter, and it's a snowy one this year. I think we've got probably the most amount of snow we've had in Southern Ontario on the ground, perhaps in the last 2, 3, 4 winters. What are some of the things that athletes targeting a half iron distance race in the fall or in the later on in the summer or this season? What are some of the things that they could be doing in the depths of the winter to maybe help them? It's a tough time for people to stay motivated and stay focused. From your perspective as a coach, what would you be telling people?
Yeah, I get tons of comments from my athletes this time of year that they're struggling with, you're getting no sunlight, it's snowy out there, you're slipping around, and it's just, tough time of year. But I think the biggest advice I can give, and I don't know how I did this at all before I found like an awesome group, but really just finding a group of individuals, either local or remotely, that you can go through the training journey with. Like I mentioned, our club is like 60% remote. So everything from like Zwift rides to monthly webinars to we just had a cool mega day where we got all of our remote athletes to come to town and bring all their bike trainers. And we did an awesome session where everyone biked for a couple hours, and then we did a run and a lunch and stuff like that. So I think as much as you can surround yourself with some people who are going through the same stuff and the same struggles, whether it's a master's swim group or your local run club or riding on Zwift with some people, like I think there's so many ways where you can have some fun during this winter grind. And then yeah, when you're having fun with the process, because the process, people need to remember, is 99% of the journey. That like, find ways to make it fun. It doesn't need to be this head down, I'm out here David Goggins grinding it every day. Like, you can have some fun with this process. Most of us, if not like 99% of the Barrelman field, is doing it as a hobby. So life is too short to not have fun doing this. So find ways to make it fun. And from what I've found, finding individuals who are sharing in this journey with you is probably the best way to do that.
Great way to stay motivated. Final question for you, Mark. What is your personal favorite memory from your races at the Barrelman the last number of years?
Yeah, it's funny. When I look back on the races, like, I've always enjoyed the course immensely, but I would say all the time when I go back to Barrelman, it's always my kind of experiences before and after the race that I love so much. Is I always stay in Niagara Falls the night before, and I'm always meeting up with friends, and we'll have dinner the night before. And then after the race, it's just such a like awesome spot to hang out post race and just hang out with friends. And there's the awards ceremony, and I don't know, there's just something about that race, like the venue and the location, that make it so friendly to just have such an awesome social experience. I find in some other races you get segmented off and you don't see people a lot, where this race, I feel like if I know all the people racing, I end up seeing them all at some point. So I think just the social aspect of it, I really love for Barrelman. And then obviously adding in PR bike splits a couple of times when I'm there is always a nice bonus as well. So those are some of my fond memories from Barrelman, but always love it. And hopefully I'll be back this year as well.
I like how you've presented it as a whole package. Do athletes tend to get caught too much up in the actual performance of the race and not step back and say, hey, like, look at this whole experience that I'm experiencing today, and the journey as well to get there?
Yeah, I think like people put so much work into it and they're like, I can't leave anything to chance. I need to have this perfect race day. And from what I've found, and I feel like more and more when we look at sort of the research in terms of like people performing at their best, is they have this like spot where they take their guard down a little bit and have like a good community around them in the days leading up to the race. And they're not this like high strung person going into the race. Like performance, you need to be able to be relaxed and go do your thing out there and be in a positive mindset. And I think just having people in that whole package and experience before that just allows you to like have that great experience on race day as well. So I don't think it needs to be this experience where people just close themselves off for 3 days before the race, don't see anybody show up on race morning and hammer time. It's like, you can socialize with people. And I've had most of my best races when I've been like nice and relaxed, chatting with people before the race. And then when that gun goes off, yeah, sure, I'm game on and it's ready to go and I'm in the moment. But I think, yeah, just soak in the experience and have some fun with it, and you're probably going to have a better race to go with it.
This has been great, Mark. Thank you so much for taking your time today with us on Barrelman TV.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Steve. Great to catch up.
You've been watching another episode of Barrelman TV. My guest today has been the co-founder and the head coach at LP Endurance, Mark Cullen. I'm Steve Fleck on behalf of the whole team at the Barrelman and MultiSport Canada. Thank you so much for watching.